After breakfast in Springerville, we rode 140 miles south along Arizona highways 180, then west on 78 to the intersection called Three-Way to start our trek up AZ-191, the Coronado Trail. This took us into the small town of Clifton, just 5 miles southeast of the mining town of Morenci. Clifton was our lowest point in elevation. From there we'd be climbing 5,000 feet into the Apache National Forest. One of the training centers for mine workers is in Clifton. A lot of activity is there. Next door, Morenci is a 1 square mile classic company town in the rugged terrain of the Mogollon Rim region with a population around 1,500. It has a tight-knit community deeply connected with the copper mining industry. There's no public transportation, and the closest larger town is Safford, roughly 50 miles southwest. The town's layout reflects its mining roots. The original old Morenci site was perched precariously on steep Longfellow Hill. It was so vertical and treacherous that it earned the reputation as one of America's most dangerous towns in the late 1800s. No wheeled vehicles were practical, and homes were built into the hillside. Much of that historic area has since been absorbed by mine expansion, and today's new Morenci, built in the early 1900s, sits on flatter ground where the old plant site once was. The Clifton-Morenci district has ties to Apache history. Legend holds that Geronimo was born near Clifton. Morenci's story begins in the early 1870s, when copper was discovered in the remote mountainous landscape of what was then called Joy Camp, after Captain Miles Joy, an early prospector. The site's rich deposits were challenging to develop due to the rugged terrain, but by 1881 major investment kick-started large-scale operations. Underground mining dominated until the 1930s, when it transitioned to open-pit methods. The town boomed and busted with copper prices, weathering floods, labor strife, and technological shifts. Today, Morenci symbolizes Arizona's copper state legacy, with mining innovations like solvent extraction electrowinning, a process pioneered here in 1987. For visitors, there's a free Morenci mine tour which offers stunning overlooks of the pit. It lasts about 2.5 hours, departing from the Morenci Motel. Reservations are required, and no kids under 9 are allowed due to safety concerns. The Greenlee County Museum in Clifton has mining artifacts to see, and short hikes can be taken along the Veterans Memorial Trail for panoramic views. The Morenci mine, just outside town and adjacent to Clifton, is the beating heart of the region and North America's largest copper producer. This colossal open-pit operation spans about 62,000 acres, making it one of the world's biggest by volume, with reserves estimated at 3.2 billion tons of copper ore. Owned primarily by Freeport-McMoRan, a 72% share, and Sumitomo, a 28% share, it employs over 3,300 people and has run continuously since the 1880s, evolving from mule-hauled underground shafts to a high-tech behemoth processing 115,000 metric tons of ore daily. In 2022, the mine produced 900 million pounds of copper and 4 million pounds of molybdenum, which reserves projected to last about 20 more years without new finds. The mine's scale is mind-boggling. It processes 700,000 tons of rock daily. 2 concentrators, 4 solvent extraction plants, 3 electrowinning tank houses, and a dedicated industrial railroad haul concentrates and supplies like sulfuric acid. The pit itself stretches 5 miles north-south and 4 miles east-west, with depths reaching over 1,000 feet, all of it visible from space as a massive terraced scar. After a nice lunch at the Miners' Diner and Bar, we set out into what constitutes midday rush hour in Morenci. The diner borders Highway 191, so it was easy to get back on the trail. In Morenci, the town and the mine blend together with a feeling that lets you know they're both the same. The only way you know you've exited the town and entered the mine is when you notice houses and retail buildings begin to thin out and fade away, soon to be replaced by large warehouses and gigantic mining equipment guarded by a series of tunnels. We had 124 miles ahead of us to get back to Springerville. The first section, short but epic, was through the mine itself. There's no doubt you are in a working mine. You see the processing equipment and the movement of big trucks. You lose yourself in the wide open scale of it all. Next to the road on the right side, most of the way, was a drop off into the 1,000-foot pit. They keep the road condition through the mine pretty good, but it's still prudent to go slow. You're in somebody else's workspace. You never know when trucks or other things may need to move around, and you never know when you might find rocks or gravel or water on your path. We could tell on the north side of the mine when we were about to leave it. There were no signs, not written ones anyway. There's only the road. The road gets narrower. Its condition deteriorates. It's a signal. The climb into the mountains begins in earnest. That's part 2 of this journey along the Coronado Trail. The darker mountains ahead foreshadow what's coming. We're nearing the north end of the mine. The work zone is about to end. No signs, no fanfare. But the road narrows. The pavement gets older, showing the wear of years. The next part of the trail begins. It's time to seriously twist and climb.